Hello, welcome to another episode of Jim's Allotment. It's definitely welly weather. We've had loads of rain again this week, so I've been on the plot. I've already mucked the chickens out and put all over the rhubarb. I'll show you that in a few minutes. And it's time that I wash all the greenhouse down. So what I'm going to be doing in a few minutes is taking all of this down, washing all the glass and getting it ready for next year. So welcome to another episode of Jim's Allotment Garden. Okay, so we'll just start in the greenhouse. I shall be washing the windows down shortly, but what I'll do is I'll just go around now whilst it's still reasonably light, so you can see everything. So in the greenhouse, you can see the rocket has really grown quite well. I have actually been cutting this, but we've already had 2 or 3 lots off for sandwiches and stuff, which is really nice this time of year to have some fresh salad. The lettuce, as you know, got a bit sort of chewed. But they are recovering. Obviously this one is coming back, so not quite sure still what had to go, but they're growing quite nicely. As you can see, the grapevines really are sort of starting to drop the leaves and stuff, and this is the only problem really with having grapevines inside the greenhouse. You get all the leaves dropping off, but it's not too much of a bother because you can always pull them off and compost them. Which is always a good idea. The seeds, all of these are going to come out very shortly, obviously, because I'm going to be washing all the glass down. So these are the sweet pea seeds, and as you can see, they've dried really well. So I'm going to be taking them down to the house very shortly, and I'll be podding them. All of the other seeds will come out as well. I've had a little mouse in that's finished off the last 2 sunflowers, but he's more than welcome to them. So that's the greenhouse at the minute. I just wanted to quickly say another job that you can be doing at the moment are your dahlias. Now, if you've got any dahlias in your garden, if they're buried deep enough in the ground, you can actually leave them there. But if they are sort of near the surface, or if they're reasonably young plants, what you need to be doing is digging them up. And this is a dahlia plant sitting upside down. Obviously, there's the shoot there. And what you need to be doing is washing all the soil off from around the roots as best you can. Try and keep as many of them, you know, the roots on as you can. So all I've done with this one is lifted it out the ground with a fork, shook as much earth off as I can, and then washed the corms. And now turn them upside down in the greenhouse like this, and then just let them dry off. Obviously, in the next couple of weeks, these will dry off quite nicely. And then put them in a cardboard box and put them in the shed over winter. And then early on in the spring next year, I'll be showing you. You get them back out of the box, turn them up the right way, and then plant them in some fresh compost, grow them up in the greenhouse, and then plant them out in your garden. You know, sort of, I don't know, well, at the end of May, basically, when the frost ends. So that'll be something coming up next year. Still got a few pumpkins and stuff here which need to go down to the house now, and obviously because there's mouse in here eating all the sunflower seeds, I need to be boxing them up now. So that's the greenhouse as it is at the moment. I've not put any the coffee onto the garden at the moment because we've had so much rain. I've kind of held off doing that. So that's the greenhouse. As you can see, the hollyhocks at the back they're coming on quite nicely. The chives have gone over. I really do need to get that dock leaf out. I know I've been saying that for quite a while. All of these lavender plants here have started to die back a bit. Now, as soon as I've got all the greenhouse washed, which I'll be doing very shortly, all the stuff like those strawberries there and these lavender plants here, and I've got a few lavender plants here, they'll all be going inside the greenhouse for overwintering. So that's the herb garden. Obviously the rosemary and The Josterbury bushes are dropping the leaves now, but that's the oregano. That's growing quite nicely now, so I can have that in sort of pasta dishes and stuff. That's always nice. This one is not done quite as well, and I think the reason for that is because we've had so much rain, this overflows onto this bit of ground, so I think it's a bit wet. Herbs always like the ground to be reasonably dry, so I think it's a bit wet for it there. So what I need to do is get this so it drains down here somewhere away from that, so it's not or obviously the other thing I could do is move the plant over somewhere, but it's probably easiest just to put a bit of a drain pipe on one of the bales. What I could do, obviously, because of all the levels have been the same, what I could do is actually put a drain, just drill a hole in the side of that here, which is sort of on the level, just slightly lower than that, so to be in comparison about there, and then it'll drain out from the top as opposed to this one here. So carrots, we've still got a few carrots coming, but they're going to be fetched out in the next couple of days, so they'll be done as soon as I've got the last carrot out of there, which is probably about 1 meal worth there. There's a few in there, look. You can see there's a few over there. There's basically 1 meal's worth for us 5. What I'm going to be doing is I've still got a few chives in there which will be good for next year. So what I'm going to be doing is digging all of that over, just fetching out all the weeds, just a quick rough dig to get rid of all the weeds, so it doesn't seed everywhere over the winter. And I'll just be putting that to bed, ready for next year. And I don't know if you remember this year, what I always do with this sort of carrot bed here is, to start with, I use it as like a coal frame, and then as soon as the beans and everything go out, then I start planting the carrots. So I'll be getting that ready for it to be a coal frame to start with. As you can see, we haven't had a frost yet, but you can see the nasturtiums have gone over slightly. These are the ones that sort of self-set themselves. So that's all sort of dying back a bit now. But right, raspberries as were. I've not done much here. That's that root of the sunflower. So I need to get the rest of the dirt off that. Now it's the rest of the. As you can see, it's had a bit of rain on it. The dirt is now coming off. So I'll just shake all the dirt off that, and then I can bob that in the recycling bin. You don't tend to compost down very well, they're quite woody, so I just put them in there. We've had loads of spinach over the last few weeks, and kale, so we've done quite well out of this tunnel. These nasturtiums are dying off. The broccoli's still doing pretty well. Obviously we've not eaten any of that yet. That'll be coming in the spring, so that'll be sort of April-ish time that'll start to bud to eat. I've not dug this yet. It's been too wet to dig, really. I could probably rough spade it over, but what I want to do is get all the weeds out of here. So that's why I've not dug that yet. So this is where the potatoes were. I've had quite a few fires. Obviously I showed you one in the last episode, but there's some more wood there to be burnt. So, and I've got all the bits of wood in the shed that need to be burnt as well. As you can see, the parsnips have really sort of fell over now, so they'll start to die back. But the best advice I can give you with these is let them all die back. Keep your pegs in the end of the row so you know where they are, and then I shall be, as soon as we've had one frost, I'll start to dig these up and eat them. So I think they're always better if you let them have a frost, and then obviously the tops will die back, and then dig them out, and then you'll be ready to eat them. The beetroot has pretty much gone over now. The Swedes are still coming, hoping to get some Swedes, but they're nowhere near as good as they were last year. Right, as you can see, I've been busy here. I've been putting there's five barrows worth of chicken muck gone in there today. Obviously it's quite sort of strawy, but as you can see, all the way around the edge I've been putting the tiles. You can see they go all the way around the edge. So that's just to keep the moisture away from the woodwork, and they're all up this side as well. So all along the front here as well, sorry. So what I'll be doing is, on top of this, now I've got all the chicken muck on top of there, what I'll be doing is putting a load of wood chippings on top of there, and then coffee on top of that. So that'll be the rhubarb all you know, all fertile for next year and everything. And what this also does is this fence acts as two things really. One, it'll obviously keep the rhubarb from falling over onto all the plants around it, but it also keeps the weather off it largely, and it'll keep it warmer in there. And obviously as this chicken manure and all the wood chippings on there rot down, it'll keep the rhubarb warm, which come the spring it'll all be ready to sort of shoot through. So that's a job well done there. So that's the rhubarb ready for next year. On the front here, I just need to fork this bit over here where I've been walking around the rhubarb and putting the muck in, but I'll be putting a load of wood chip and chicken manure up here in the next few weeks. Obviously, because the chickens are spending most of their time inside the chicken hut now, they're producing a reasonable amount of chicken muck, so I'll probably muck them out again probably in about 2 or 3 weeks time. Obviously this time of year, because it's cooler, their metabolic rate increases to keep them warm, so they tend to eat more food and obviously produce more chicken muck. So obviously this time of the year you get quite a lot of it, which is quite nice because it's the time of year that you need it. The Swiss chard and the leeks and the kohlrabi at the front have been doing alright. We've been eating quite a lot of chard recently. Still a few calendulas holding in there, but I've not done any of the leeks yet. I just haven't got around to using them, to be honest with you. Now this is really the time of the year you need to pull the leeks off, because you can see this one here is starting to go to seed. That's the seed pod there. So if you see any on your leeks, pull them off straight away as soon as you see them. So this one here, look, pull them off, because you don't want the plant putting all of its goodness into the seeds. If you do leave them, they make absolutely fantastic flowers, the leek flowers. But anyway, that's the front bit. Going up this side here, you'll see that so I'm doing a reasonably long tour this week, because last week I didn't do one. You can see that the Winterfest gourd and the butternut squash have pretty well finished. These are the only two really here, which I'll now pull off. So just pull them off like that. I don't think they're going to make much, to be honest with you. I might be able to make a pair of attractive earrings out of them, but they're not going to be much good for eating. But what I can do is save the seed from these, and you just do that by cutting them in half, and then obviously the seed will be inside. Wash the seed. You do this exactly like you would do pumpkins and stuff. Wash the seed, get all of the sort of snotty gooey stuff off from the seed, and then put them in a baking tray in the house to dry off for a couple of weeks, then bob them in an envelope ready for next year. Obviously mark what they are so you know what they are, because things like all the gourds, like the pumpkins, the butternut squashes, the Winterfest gourds, courgettes, all of them are the seeds are almost identical to each other. I've just actually noticed I've got a load of toadstools growing on the vegetable patch there. I've not seen that before. They've come up in the last couple of days, and there's some there, look, as well. I'm sure you can't eat them, most of them are poisonous. But anyway, that's the bottom half. Coming back up here, obviously that's the other side of the purple sprouting broccoli, which seems to be alright. There's no caterpillars on there, but obviously they did a bit of damage also in there, and I really do need to fetch this out. I've been saying that for weeks now. But what I'll be doing is, what I always do with brassicas is when you finish with the plant, pull the whole thing out of the ground, roots and all, and dispose of it. Don't compost it, because it's so prone to like club root and stuff like that. You're much better off disposing of the whole plant, so you're not putting any disease back in the ground. There are certain plants that you don't compost and put back in the ground. Most certainly potato plants and tomato plants, or don't compost them, always put them in the recycling bin. And for me, brassicas as well, because I've always been, when I first took this plot on 9 years, nearly 10 years ago now, there was quite a lot of club root in here, so I always make it a rule, any brassicas, as soon as they finish growing, I'll pull them out and get all the root out as well, pull the whole plant out and put it all in the composting bin, as opposed to sorry, not composting bin, the recycling bin, as opposed to composting them on the actual plot. So right, back up the top end here. There's actually a potato coming through there, but as you can see, we've still got a few raspberries on, which is quite amazing really when you think it's getting towards the end of November now. But you know, cutting all of these backs really did benefit, because we have had a bit of wind recently, and they've stayed in one piece. The strawberries, I think all these flowers are quite futile now, to be honest with you. As soon as the fruits are forming, they're rotting, so I'm sure we're not going to get any more strawberries. So what I'll be doing is, as you can see, all of the leaves are dying off now. They're going that rusty colour. So what I'll be doing in the next couple of weeks is cutting all the leaves off of these. And again, strawberries are a plant that you can't really compost the leaves, because this kind of rusty is actually a disease for the strawberries. So what I always do is cut all the tops off, cut all the leaves off, and clear the strawberry bed out altogether. And what I'll be doing with the leaves for these is burning them. So I'll put them in the incinerator along with them bits of wood that I've got down there now, and I'll be burning all of these as soon as they've dried. So what I'll probably do is pull all the tops off, and then put them in a bag, dry them off, and then as soon as they're ready to burn, I'll be setting fire to all of them. So, and here's my bucket here in readiness to wash all of the windows on the greenhouse. So I'll show you that when I finish this in a few minutes. Okay, so in the last clip I very quickly explained about pumpkins, courgettes, squashes, etc. And these are the seeds, and as I say, all you need to do is these will be in the centre of the squash, and all you need to do is pull them all out with your hand. And with there's quite a lot of sort of sinewy vegetable mass. Basically, what you need to do is put them all in a colander, rinse them out with a tap, pull off any of the stringy bits, and then you end up with just the seeds like that. And then put them on a metal tray in the house for about 2 weeks, and then you'll end up with a nice dry seeds like that. And then all you need to do is put them in an envelope, ready for next year, and then just label them up exactly as they are, so you don't get them mixed up. Okay, so to clean the greenhouse, all I'm going to use is a soft gel brush. That's a reasonably soft one, you know, it's not a sort of bristly one. A bucket of hot soapy water, and all I've got in there is some washing up liquid and water. A bit of a sponge if you've got any sort of quite stubborn bits. But all I do basically, and this is quite a quick job really, is with your hose, just first of all wet the glass. That's all you need. And then I've got my bucket of soapy water down here. Just dip your brush in the bucket, and basically just go up and down. And when you get to a joint in the glass like that, what I tend to do is just go backwards and forwards, because what you can get is kind of dirt stuck between the two panes of glass. And you also get sort of moss growing down the sides of the framework there. Obviously, do remember it is glass, so you know, don't go too sort of overzealous with it. Not to flip out there. Now, because a greenhouse is it's not really intended to take anybody's weight, I wouldn't suggest you put a ladder against it or anything like that. Try and do it all from sort of standing on the ground or on a stool or something if you're slightly shorter than me, because you don't really want to be putting any weight or load onto the side of the greenhouse, because you can potentially move the frame and break the glass. All I'm doing here is just sort of going backwards and forwards like that, give it a good scrub. It's very similar to, I guess it's very similar to washing the car. You know, you don't need to sort of put too much pressure on there. You just need to be, you know, sort of giving it enough pressure to, to remove the dirt, if you like. And don't forget that, you know, if the glass is reasonably new, the glass will flex, so you don't need to worry about it if the glass very slightly moves. And what I tend to do is start at the top because obviously your soapy water is going to be moving down the roof. So if you start at the top, then get the top pane done, removing any moss like that, and then again where the glass joins, just go side to side with that, and then at the side bits here, just give that a bit of a, you know, sort of up and down type motion, then that will release the bits of moss which you've got stuck in the between the frame and the glass. Now, the reason for getting rid of the moss is the roots. If you imagine, if there's a bit of moss in the side here, you've got the frame and the glass. If the moss roots are growing underneath, they'll tend to push the glass up, so it can potentially put strain on the glass. So, apart from the fact it doesn't look very, very nice to have moss all over your greenhouse, you want to make sure that the moss is not putting too much pressure onto the glass. So that's another good reason for getting it out. So as I say, just go up and down like that with your brush, and you know, get out as much as you possibly can do. Now, the whole reason for washing a greenhouse is, as you know, for a plant to grow, it needs three things really. It needs obviously water and nutrition, it needs warmth, and it needs light. Now, if your greenhouse is covered in sort of mildew or moss or something like that, then obviously that's going to be stopping a reasonable amount of the light getting through to your plants. So it's within your good interest to make sure that your glass is as clean as it possibly can be, because you want as much light to get through to your plants as you possibly can do, because obviously it's one thing that your plant needs. And during the year, I mean, I only ever wash the greenhouse once a year. You know, when I do it kind of this time of the year when I've got nothing inside, which you'll see in a minute when I go inside with the camera. But the reason for washing it, you know, more than anything, is to get rid of all of this sort of algae and that's on the glass, so that, you know, you get the most amount of light going through onto the inside of the greenhouse where your plants are. The other thing that another important note is certain plastics don't let through ultraviolet radiation from the sun or light from the sun. It only lets through a certain part of the light spectrum. So when you put in, if you're replacing any glass in the greenhouse with plastic, you need to make sure that that plastic is suitable to put in a greenhouse, because you might be, with that plastic, you might be stopping the light that you need for the plants going through. So to be honest with you, with a greenhouse, if you possibly can do, it's always better to put glass in, because glass will most certainly let that you know, that ultraviolet light through into the greenhouse for the plants to produce the you know, the starch and everything that they need, because obviously they need the sunlight for photosynthesis, and without that they're not going to grow properly. So what I suggest you do is, if you can't use glass for any reason and you've only got plastic, just make sure that plastic is you know, is the type of plastic that will let the proper type of light through. If you've got to use the plastic, you've got no other choice. Put the plastic at the bottom and make sure you've got glass, most certainly in the roof and the top half of the wall, because the light that comes through the bottom really doesn't make a lot of difference. It's what comes through the top, because obviously the sun goes over. So it's the glass that's in the roof and the top half of the walls that are the most important part. Other than that, obviously the side of the wall that faces north also doesn't get a lot of light, so if you've got any plastic, put it in that wall. So now I've gone up, just doing this last one now, and I always try and give the frame a bit of a scrub whilst I'm here as well. Now the majority of this algae and stuff is actually on the inside of the greenhouse. So and I'll do exactly the same process inside the greenhouse, but as you can imagine, when I'm in the greenhouse I tend to get covered in water. So it most certainly is a wet job doing this. So don't put any clothes on that, you know, or if you've got an allotment which is away from your house, then you know, then make sure you've got a change of clothes, or you know, a jacket you can put on over your clothes, otherwise you're going to get soaked and stay soaked. So I've already done them too, that's why I've not just done them, I did them last night. So all you've got to do now is rinse, and always start at the top the greenhouse, and you'll find that as you do this, all these bits of moss and stuff will actually come out. So start at the top. Obviously use gravity as your friend, and then just start at the top like that. Let the water run down. Now what you will find is some of the water. There's a bit that I've missed. Some of the water will go up inside the panes, like this bit here, and go down on the inside. So when you do this on the outside, what you need to make sure is there's nothing on this side of the greenhouse which will get damaged if it gets wet. So what I did last night is I did the other side of the greenhouse last night, and I've moved everything from this side of the greenhouse over to that side, which can get damaged. And now I'm washing this side. If any water gets through to the inside of the greenhouse, nothing's going to get damaged. Things like packets of seeds, or any seeds that you're drying, or anything like that, obviously if they get wet, they're going to get damaged. So make sure they're out of the way on the inside of the greenhouse. So now I've rinsed this bit of the roof down. Just make sure I've got all these bits of moss out of the way. So now I can do the walls. And it does look a lot cleaner at the moment because basically most of it's on the inside. So don't be too disconcerted if it looks still a bit dirty because, as I say, most of the dirt is on the inside of the greenhouse. So that's pretty much the outside done. Then you'll always find that when you do this, there's a bit you've missed. Even if you really concentrate on what you're doing, there's always a bit, and I can see I've missed a bit there. Here. And the framework as well, I always give that a bit of a, just a bit of a scrub. And what you may well find with the framework, it's more important on the inside really, particularly if you've had blight like I have this year. But what I find is it's much easier with a sponge, just to very quickly go down the framework like that and get off any of this sort of algae that forms on there. Like that. Obviously I won't show you all of it. And now the gutters, these bits here, what you need to do is just run your finger along inside. Make sure you don't go against the glass because obviously you'll cut your finger if you do that. But all you need to do is just go along like that and get any gunk that's out of the gutters like that. As I say, watch your fingers when you do this because obviously there's the edge of the glass there and you can cut your fingers. And then as soon as you've done that, just run the hose up the gutter like that, just removing any other bits and bobs. Now the thing you need to note is that if the greenhouse is perfectly level, which if you put your greenhouse up it will be, the gutters are level, so the water's not going to flow off naturally. So the water will sit there, and obviously the moss and stuff like that will sort of collect in there, so that's obviously a bit that you need to look out for. So on the inside, as you can see, I've done this side of the greenhouse already, and you can really see the difference in the greenhouse. Around the bottom I'm going to get that with a brush later on, a bit of a stiffer brush, so I'll give that a bit of a clean. But as you can see, the difference between that side, you can actually see outside quite clearly, and those two end pieces there, and what it looks like here. You know, there's this kind of frosted, sort of dirty look to it. Now, I'm not going to do this end strip here. I'll do the outside, but obviously because the grapevines are still there, what I don't want to do is run the chance of knocking all the leaves off and damaging the grapevine. So I've moved everything out of the way here that's potentially going to be damaged if any water gets on it. The rest of it, you know, it doesn't really matter if any of this gets wet. And obviously this is all the stuff here that could potentially get damaged. So that's the shelf from there, and because I've bolted the shelf on here, it's easily removed so I can clean the glass. Obviously that was thought out before I put it on there. So just two bolts hold it on there, and it sits on this thing. I'll come on to this in the next couple of weeks because I'm going to be making another one to go over there. Obviously all the seeds that I've been drying, etc., I'm just keeping out the way over here. What I might do actually is just put a bit of plastic over them whilst I'm doing this next section. Now, I don't want to do an idiot's guide to doing this, obviously, because I'm sure you've all got common sense, but the reason why I use a brush on a stick is if you imagine, if you're washing the roof with a sponge like this, the water's going to run down your arm and into your clothes. So only use the sponge for sort of bits that you really need to get in there and sort of scrub and stuff. So the sponge really is only used for the framework and stuff like that, where I can lean downwards so the water's not going up my arm. Using the brush in exactly the same way as we did outside, just like this, you can very quickly clean the panes, and you've not got to be sort of too harsh with the brush, obviously, on the inside. Now, you need to be, if anything, you need to be even more gentle on the inside of the greenhouse, because obviously the glass is taken out towards the outside, so you could potentially push the glass out if you're not careful. So just with the brush, all you need to do is just agitate the dirt which is on the glass, exactly like the outside. Obviously I showed you the outside because that's easier to see than it is in here, so I can get the camera a bit further away. With the roof, again, you're doing exactly the same thing, sort of in reverse. So you're starting at the top like this, cleaning up the top like that, because obviously the glass is going to move downward. And the other thing as well is, I would suggest you do the outside first and then the inside afterward. And then just do where the glass joins, get your brush and sort of do that, because that's where the dirt sits between the two pieces of glass. Pay particular attention to the framework, like that, because that's where the moss is going to grow, if anything. And then as soon as you've done that, exactly like I've done the outside, get the hose pipe and just give it a good, good hosing down. I'm not going to show you this with the camera on because the water goes bloody everywhere when you do this. And what I suggest you do is stand at the doorway and spray it into the greenhouse, because if you're in here, you will literally get covered in water and muck and all sorts of corruption. So what I suggest you do is wash all the panes down with your brush, then get out the greenhouse, get the hose, and give it a good hosing down from the doorway. Just put your long jet on and keep yourself safe on the doorway. So there you go. All of this is nice and clean now. Obviously, it's not a perfect job. There is still a bit of stuff in there, but I will give it another going over in a moment. I just wanted to demonstrate how to do it. Now, this corner here, as you can see, I can't get to the glass because of all of this stuff here. All of this is going to be taken out in the next couple of weeks. I'm going to be redoing all of that, which I'll be showing in the episodes coming up towards the end of this month and possibly the start of next. So all of this is going to be redone. I'm going to be making a storage area at the bottom there for pots, etc., and sort of redoing this so it's a little bit more permanent than it is at the moment. So that's the greenhouse, washed and ready for next year, apart from this end bit here, which I'll do that as soon as the grapevine's dropped all of its leaves. So I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Jim's Allotment Garden. Obviously, we've got a nice clean greenhouse now for next year, and it is well worth doing, obviously, because the light, and if you've had any diseases or anything like that, it's important you keep your greenhouse as clean as possible. Coming up, as I say, there'll be this corner of the greenhouse here being sorted out for the next few weeks, and there's also going to be more digging and prepping for next year, cleaning out the tomato beds, the carrot beds, getting all that ready for next year, and also tidying up the bottom end and making everything secure for the winter. So please do comment, please do subscribe to the channel. I do appreciate any feedback that you might have, and I appreciate any comments that you may have. Please put them below the video and I shall pick them up, and I will try my best to respond to any comments that you send. So thank you for watching Jim's Allotment Garden.